Okay, so good morning, DJ Lamont. My name is Tola, and I am one of the leaders of the Black-owned business committee of Enough is Enough San Francisco. And Enough is Enough is a city-run nonprofit organization which strives to end racism and also help uplift Black, Indigenous people and people of color. And joined with me today is Caroline.
Hi, I'm Caroline. It's really nice to meet you, and I'm excited for the interview.
Wonderful.
And we also have Shyla here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good morning. Let me just move my seat up a little bit.
So you have your own business, Fingersnaps Media Arts, located in San Francisco. And we just want you to tell us a little bit of a backstory of Fingersnaps Media Arts and what inspired you to create your own business.
Well, Fingersnaps Media Arts, the concept started around 2001, 2002. And it came from a very personal place, a place of soul searching, trying to understand what life means. I was working in my chosen industry, which is broadcast radio, but I felt the corporation I was working for the ceiling was too low for just opportunity. And I was 30, 31, 32 at the time. And I just felt what it took to succeed in radio would take a long time. And I just was running impatient with the process. But in the process, in the midst of all that, I was just asking the question that we all ask: what does life mean? Does life mean that we just work for the rest of our lives and then die? And I know that's a stark reality, but that's what I was feeling. Like, it's got to be more to life than just working and then paying bills and then going to work again and just paying bills. There must be a better way to be of service to the world, to express my personality, to show my talents, and to learn about my own potential. And so the idea came to teach individuals how to DJ. And it was a friend that introduced the concept to me. I was sharing the idea, just again, these soul searching missions. And he says, well, why don't you teach? He says, you have all this equipment here. You have these years and years of experience. Why don't you teach individuals how to DJ? And when he introduced that idea to me, I contemplated that for about a year. What does it actually mean to teach one how to DJ? At that time, there was no such organized service that offered that. So it was nothing to compare it to. And so within that first year, I just contemplated the idea. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? How would I do that? How would I facilitate a class? How would I share the knowledge that I've accumulated all these years and pass it on to someone else? And then the following year, I started taking note. I started writing notations, a curriculum, a business plan, just writing down just free thoughts and just writing it down. And once I was able to write it down, I was able to see the structure and the potential and the opportunity that I was creating for myself. And when I felt ready, I created an advertisement. When I look back, it was a very small advertisement. It was very simplistic. And it was done with very little confidence, because the idea is, although I wanted people to notice it, I didn't really want people to see it, which is kind of strange. And I listed it in Craigslist, and this is when Craigslist was popular. And 3 or 4 days later, I got a call. And I got a call from my very first student, who I'm still in contact with. And he said at the time, he says, I've been looking for a service like this. And that validated my whole vision around having something special to offer someone. And so it started from a very personal place. It started in this very home. I live in the Mission District in San Francisco. And I started teaching from a spare bedroom that I had here in the city, in my home. And I was welcoming the public into my home. It was a full advertising campaign when I did move forward on it. But it started off personal, and it just evolved over time. And it became not necessarily my obsession, but my way of life, and just finding ways of being of service to the world. And because I'm an introvert and I'm an extrovert, I just learned that I'm an omnivert, which is a combination of both. I always felt outside of things, even though I was part of something. And it's a core feeling that I have, that it's very easy for me to feel disconnected from from people. And particularly if I see behaviors that remind me that I'm not connected. So starting my own business gave me the opportunity to be myself, to express my authentic self, to learn more about my own potential and what I have and the skills that I have to offer people, and to be able to communicate with people in a way that works for me, instead of thinking that I have to get along with everyone or just click every time that I go out. And I would see, the popular people and everyone's laughing and joking, and I always ask myself, well, why can't I get down like that? So that helped diffuse the whole not feeling part of the world, because I realized I can carve out my own world and create my own experience and connect and communicate and connect with the general public that's authentic to me. And so from a personal point of view, that's just helped give me confidence that I am whole and complete, and I always have been whole and complete, but I just haven't, found a place to fully express it. And so those are, so it's personal. Yeah, it still is personal. It's business, but it still comes from a personal place.
Wow, that's really deep. Like, I really empathize with that. And it seems like it's really intentional what you were saying about how you didn't feel like you quite fit into everything. And then you had this business that you were really trying to spread your like core vision and help people as well. So that I really admire that. So moving on, what would you say are like the core values of your business?
Core values of my business is to educate, to inspire, to bring people together. Another model that I have is to give it, to trade it, and to sell it. Meaning I sell my services and my products. I also give my product. I also give up my time to organizations and individuals that necessarily do not have the monetary means to pay me in return, but they're doing something awesome. It can just be an individual or organization that's doing something awesome, that's helping life for others, and I give up my time, and then I trade my time. I'll DJ your event, you give me dinner. So that's the way I'm able to again be of full capability and able to communicate and to be of service to different individuals, because some people can pay with not an issue. Other people have something that I have, a barter system, something that I can benefit from, like a meal, and I provide what I do, and to give up my time to individuals, and to educate and to inspire, to create, educate, inspire. That's the core of what I do, to educate individuals, because as we know, education on all levels, not just going to a university, but education of just learning how to take care of one better, learning how to succeed in life, learn how to advance beyond the limits in life, to teach individuals how to DJ, so to educate an individual, to create. Creativity, one of the models that I use when I conclude my radio show every week is to create something beautiful for yourself and others. And that's something that I think about often, is to create something beautiful. Now, that could be a meal. You invite a friend over for a meal, or you bring a meal to a friend, or it can be a project of some type. It's not always just business related or artistically creativity. It's just the idea that we all have the ability to create something. You can come and help a friend clean their house. You can help someone change a tire. But to create something beautiful for yourself and others, that's something that I set a standard for myself when I'm at my studio, to reach that level, to make sure that when I connect with individuals, that they are feeling it's creativity, it's education, and to inspire individuals.
Yeah, I think that creativity is one of the most important things that you can teach people how to grow. And so I really agree with your core values. And in your opinion, what's the most rewarding thing about owning your own business and also DJing?
That's a broad question. Owning my own business is a reminder that possibility is real. That one can think of something in the most intimate space the first thought that you have when you wake up in the morning, when your head's on the pillow, the last thought that you have before you say goodbye, good night to the world. Those intimate thoughts that we carry each and every day. And the idea, when I started Fingersnaps, it was an intimate thought. It was no business plan. I didn't express it to anyone. It was created, it came about instinctually in my most personal space. And now it's a three-dimensional experience. And when the general public and my clients come into my studio, or even when they're looking in the window, that they're at awe with this experience that I created. And it all started personally. It all started, like I said, from personal interests, a personal inspiration, where many times I felt it had no traction, so to speak. And I was discouraged throughout the years to give it up because it wasn't working, or people didn't understand it when I was trying to present the idea to them. And now to see it alive and well, and see the impression that it makes on the general public and myself, it just gives me a sense of excitement and awesomeness. And like I said, something that turned personal to three-dimensional. So that's the feeling that I have, is that this was a personal thing, and now it's for the world to share. And being a DJ that dates back when my mother gave me a close and play record player when I was 5 years old. And that was 51 years ago. and music was such a huge part of my family experience. My mother was a huge music appreciator. When I was a kid, we used to go to the record store, and there was several record stores in my hometown of Waterbury, Connecticut. And she knew many of the shop owners. And she would hear a song on the radio, or sometimes the shop owner would call her and say, I have these new batch of records, saying, why don't you come on down? And she would spend an hour or two at a time at these different shops. And I would just stand there. And again, because of my nature, I was a sponge. I would just absorb. I didn't say much. I just absorbed and listened. And that's when it started to really creep in. And so when I look back, that's what inspired me to be the DJ that I am today. And then once, as I started getting older and started socializing in middle school and started meeting my own friends, I started listening to the music that was opposite what was played at home to the music that was trendy to teenagers at that time. And that's when it really, really began to mushroom and to multiply, and it turned into something bigger than life. And it was just very exciting. So DJing for me is a way, again, of being of service to people, to put myself in the middle of a situation, of a social situation, and not from an egotistical point of view, just meaning being in the center of an energy and creating that energy and inspiring that energy, and allowing me to interact and to feel the vibe of that social group. And that social group is what inspires the music that I play. And so being a DJ is I call it complexity, because it's all of my emotions, all of who I am comes through with DJing. It's the joy, it's the artistic aspects, it's the logical side, it's the mathematical side of music, the technical side of understanding the equipment, and then the importance of the music that I'm playing. You know, music stirs emotions, it stirs physical expression. And so that's how I look at what I do now as a DJ, is complexity, the art of the mix. So I'm giving you everything. And when I teach my classes as well, I encourage my students to really express themselves beyond just, I like this song, but what else is it that you can offer to make yourself as a DJ come alive and well?
Yeah, it sounds like self-expression is like the most rewarding thing, and the artistic aspect too. So that's really great. So Caroline is going to be the one to ask the next couple of questions.
Sure.
All right. First one is, what is the message you try and spread through your business?
Again, possibility, hope, a place for you, community. I know the word is community is used a lot, but one of the things that I do when I have multiple guests in my studio, my clients and the general public will walk in, is that I introduce everyone. I ask everyone their names, and if I'm with a student, I'll introduce my student to this person who just walked in, because that just helps relieve anxiety. And again, giving a person a place to belong. Either they're there momentarily or they're there for a couple hours. So that's, can you ask the question again?
What is the message that you try to spread through your business?
So potential, possibility, hope, education, community, fun, liveliness, artisticness, creativity. One of the things that I have on my wall, I just posted it a couple of days ago because it's been circulating in my mind. And it's just a reminder for myself is that Fingersnaps is potential. And specifically after this pandemic, now that we're slowly evolving beyond it, we're still in it, but we're still evolving compared to where we were 365 days ago this very time, is that Fingersnaps has the potential to be. And what that is exactly, I don't know, because that's what opportunity is, because we're coming out of this pandemic slowly. And so it has the potential to be, because it survived this last year. And I saw the potential of what it could do before COVID. So it's astounding to me what can potentially happen next. So Fingersnaps is potential.
Your business seems like a really safe network for people to come and express themselves, and I really admire that. The next few questions that we have are actually about how your business has been affected by the pandemic. What would you say is the most difficult setback that your business has faced during COVID, and how can we help you overcome this?
Well, again, 365 days ago, this very time, well, it was March 14th, when we were all ordered to shelter in place. It still seems surreal now that I look back at that, because everything that I knew about business, it just stopped, it halted. And the greatest challenge during specifically the first couple months of the pandemic is when I was engaged with other small businesses and even with the landlord of my building. They kept saying, well, what have you done to revitalize your business? And I found that to be a grievous and overstated responsibility, because it's like, well, we've been shut down. My business is not failing because of my mismanagement. It's halted because we are in the beginning of a pandemic. So this is out of my control. So I was feeling more anxiety about the idea that I felt like I had to come up with a whole new business plan, a whole new business concept, and have it fully executed and running by the end of the week. I felt a lot of stress behind that, because this is not possible. And they were like, well, other businesses pivoted, and I says, well, I don't know what to just do tomorrow. So I was feeling a lot of stress behind that. So that was really the greatest thing. It was more like an emotional toll than anything else. Because of the first year of where I'm currently located, the business made some money. And so I used that money to just take care of overhead costs until otherwise. But it was just the idea that everything stopped. That was it. And it was nothing I can really do to regenerate business. I did have virtual clients, but most of my students were really interested in interpersonal. They weren't interested in the virtual experience. And because 50% of my business was events related, there was no events as well. So it was just being, stopping in my tracks and just asking myself day to day, how are we going to make it through this? That was really it, because even though business stopped, the financial responsibilities did not. And that was the thing. The rent is still due, the PG&E is still due. And that's what boggled my mind more than anything, is that we're ordered to stop. Yet in the meantime, we have to still take care of these financial responsibilities where there's no income. And as far as and the second question was,
how can we help you overcome this? Like any difficulties that you have faced during the pandemic?
I don't have a direct answer for that question. However, is now that we are reopening, but there still is this reality that the pandemic is still not over. And we're seeing that in different parts of the world. We're seeing it in different countries. and in different states right here in the United States. So as optimistic as I am, as much potential as I see, I have to remember that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So that encourages me to be greatly cautious about how far to go with trying to regenerate business, particularly in-person business, and to evaluate every situation that comes individually, because the threat is still there. And I don't want to put my guard down, nor do I want my clients to put their guard down. And now we're back to where we were, or back in a different situation. So I'm not sure exactly how to answer that, because we are still in this, and it's, as things evolve, hopefully we're all going in the right direction as a nation, as a world, but reality we're not, because we're still seeing the numbers rise in different parts of the world.
It's a very challenging situation, and we want to be able to support you and your business in any way that we can. The last question that I have for you is, how has the pandemic changed how you plan to achieve your pre-COVID goals?
The wonderful thing about this pandemic is that I moved into my current space March of 2019. And coming from a home-based business to a commercial space, I had a lot of fear of how can we thrive? How can we take care of these fixed costs every day? And I'm so grateful and so thankful that I had 2019, because 2019 showed me the potential again of my business, because we flourished in 2019, and it all happened organically, where at first I was just thinking about all these different ways of drumming up business and pumping up business and to increase revenue and marketability. And I didn't have to do all that. It came organically. It became organically because of all the work that I've put in over the last 15 years, with the networking I've done over the last 20 years, and just currently where we're located, which is right in the middle of the mission, and just being visible to the general public. So the business thrived beyond my imagination, beyond my fears, beyond my projections. So when we were locked down last year, this very time, and basically 80% of my business just stopped throughout the year, the hope that kept me going was that once this is over, the business can grow beyond this, because I saw the first year of what we were able to do. That was real time. And the pandemic is, like I said, it wasn't a mismanagement on my behalf. It was, we're shut down for all of our safety. So that gave me the insight, that gave me the confidence, that gave me the wherewithal to remind myself that this business can thrive beyond COVID. And I created a couple of new products during COVID as well. It was some side projects that I've been considering for years. And so I was able to create new products as well during this time. So that's how I utilized a lot of my downtime last year. And to ask you a question, so you asked, what can you do to assist? What type of services do you offer? I reviewed your website, so I'm not sure exactly what is the capability of your organization.
So I can answer that. We do a variety of things, but mostly we're trying to financially provide for these businesses that we reach out to. We also do website design. We can also do ad revenue and like advertising as well. So it really depends on what you need as a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, it's, all of those services are of in need, because the ongoing financial responsibility of maintaining the space. I'm not sure where I stand with the owner of the building, because they haven't communicated with us. I do pay them monthly, half of what I was paying them. And so I'm not sure what's going to happen at the end of this. Will I get a lump sum bill? So that's really like my greatest anticipation and fear about what's to come when things do resume back to a new normal, is what will be my financial responsibility and or burden at the end of this, because of just lack of information. And as far as marketing, I can always use tips on marketing because marketing changes every single day with the whole social media aspect of things. And so particularly with my new products, just finding a way to get those out to the world. My goal is to sell 10,000. I created a card game for my photography. My goal is to sell 10,000. And I've already sold a handful already, and people come into the shop and to the studio and buy them. And anything that can help with just information, just to have a counselor, just to have someone that understands me, that I can bounce ideas off that's objective and that can give me points of views to help steer me in the right direction. So information, again, back to education, is all helpful. Can be helpful.
Okay, so Shyla is going to be asking the next couple of questions.
Sure.
Hi. What are some things that could help your business thrive throughout the pandemic?
Again, marketing. Give me insights on marketing and a method that can show some proof. I've invested in marketing, and outside of getting likes, which is not enough to move, it doesn't move product. How can I tap into, selling my products, particularly the three-dimensional products that I created? So just helping me create a marketing plan that I can execute over a time period, not an instant gratification thing, but something over time from now in the next year, a marketing plan that I can execute and to help me build a program. So that can be extremely helpful. And just organizational skills. I just having systems in place. I've had several systems in place that has helped me operate the business much more efficiently compared to when I was working at home. And that was an ongoing goal. And to take advantage of all these new services that are popping out and to be introduced to these various products that are coming out, and with all the different websites and apps that just helps with business organization and communicating with your client base. And that's something as well, is to find, I've tried different mediums to communicate directly with my client base. And I want to find a more efficient way of doing that. And so again, ideas on just how to communicate with them more directly, and not necessarily through a social medium platform, because that's a third party, but something where I can reach out to them directly. And that it's efficient and easy for me to use and easy for the consumer to use as well. And just the overall finance of just taking care of, because I'm still, the business is generating about 20% compared to what it was in 2019. Yet the financial responsibilities are still there. So anything that will help with financing to keep the place afloat. I just want things to flow like a river. I don't want it to dam. And when money dams, that's when it becomes non-qualitative, because it's all on one side and not the other. So when I visualize money and finance, have, and this is from a personal point of view and from the business point of view, is to generate income, to save the income, to invest the income, and also to spend it. And that's how you have a qualitative system from my point of view. And so if I'm generating income, I would like to save some to help fortify the business for future endeavors, to invest in as well in stocks and various things, and to spend as well, consumerism, to invest in the business, to keep up with new products and new technology, to stay on the cutting edge.
We definitely have a lot of groups that could help with like marketing and all those things, and it would really be cool to help build up that system with you.
Sure.
The second question is, what are some things that your business wants to add after the pandemic?
the Fingersnaps Media Arts Mobile DJ and Art Studio. So when you see a UPS truck, your typical UPS truck, I envision us having a truck like that, because up until the pandemic, life before the pandemic, we were involved with multiple city events, street events in San Francisco. Sunday Streets was one of them, SF Pride, the various street festivals. And so I have a mobile unit, and we would have to set it up physically, which could be cumbersome sometimes, dependable, and we had to depend on organizations to plug in so we have a power source. So I came up with the idea of, what if I had a mobile DJ and art studio where we can just pull up, open up the door and start playing music. And it's self-reliant, solar panels, renewable power, and that we can just play anywhere. I envision having a mobile studio. So if I teach at an after-school program, or at a high school, or middle school, or community center, we can just pull up to the front door, open up, and have the students or my clients or my guests come right in. And so accessibility. So that's my next big project, is the mobile DJ studio. And my slogan is to drive fun and opportunity to the people.
That's a really good idea. I really like how it would be super accessible. The third question is, have your employees or you had to adapt to a different work environment due to COVID, and how?
Well, the most important thing was, it's the most simplistic thing that's asked is to sanitize our hands and the environment, and to wear a mask. And although I don't overemphasize that, because that is the general rule, and most of my clients, I mean, anyone that walks into the studio, that's the first that I ask, is if they sanitize, and most people comply instantly. And because I think we're already educated that this is here. So because generally my client base is one-on-one, I don't feel like I need to create this infrastructure of compliance, because again, most people understand. I mean, majority of people that come in are wearing a mask. So I wear a mask as well. And I wipe down my surfaces after each person comes in. And I did that pre-COVID anyway. I would wipe down constantly because it's a public space.
That's super cool.
Okay, so that was like the last of our questions. And before we go, I just want to thank you for your time and for answering all of our questions. And also, is there anything you would want to emphasize about your business before we close out?
Fingersnaps Media Arts and the heart and soul of the Mission District is like I said, it's possibility. It's possibility for those that are interested in learning how to DJ and wants to tap into the world of what DJing is about from an educational, informational point of view, but also for those that are seeking of starting their own endeavors in life, that it can be done. And that's what Fingersnaps means to me, and can mean to other individuals as well, is that you can turn that idea, you can turn a vision into fruition. And it just takes patience and confidence, not full confidence, just some confidence. You don't have to have 100% confidence, but just enough confidence to say, I'm going to take the next step. And the next step can be sending that email, inquiring about something, filling out that application, filling out that application again, filling out that application again and again and again and again and again. And eventually something will become of it. And, embracing individuals like yourselves. I just got an email from you, and the idea was to explore the possibility before I came up with conclusions, because it's easy to conclude without having the insight. So exploring possibilities, even if you don't see the end results or the potential in it, but just to see, to explore what it can be, because I normally learn more about myself and what is out here by just saying yes to that first call. And that's why I'm here today.
Thank you for that. With that being said, we will make sure to follow up with you, and thank you again for attending our interview.
You all are lovely. Thank you so much. This is great. And I'm so happy that we were able to connect and that you saw me. And I look forward to how we can work together and to create something beautiful for ourselves and others.
Okay. Thank you. And